No, that's right. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm Steve Crawford, host of Factor Theory Live. Join me every Sunday night from 10 p.m. till midnight Eastern Standard Time on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Check it out.
Hello, my name is Mr. Rowe. I am the host of Reality Extraction, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I utilize logic, intellect, and magic to methodically autonomize, vivisect, analyze, examine, study, scrutinize, and extract an essence of reality from a fog of illusion and confusion. You can find me on Studio B every Thursday, 1700 hours Pacific Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. No topic taboo, no subject too strange. I strive to take a neutral standpoint during the dissection of the topic at hand. That's Reality Extraction with Mr. Rowe on Revolution Radio.
What is going on here? I demand an explanation.
We work for a highly funded yet unofficial government agency.
An intelligence organization that fears intelligence, historically not awesome.
The United States is a democratic nation. Here the people rule. We build no walls to keep them in, nor organize any system of police to keep them mute.
Freedom isn't free at all, but it comes with the highest of costs.
We have you, the listeners, and the hosts at
Revolution Radio.
for allowing us to bring you a platform of free speech.
Right now, it's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines,
clocks for now. Time's up. Wind is blowing cold and dark. On the road and no way out. Broken hearts, the smoking gun. On the run. On the run. Jump down the shelters to get away. The boys are cocking up their guns. Tell us, General, is it party time? If it is, can we all come? Don't think that we don't know. Don't think that we're not trying. Don't think we move too slow. It's no use after crying, saying it's a mistake. It's a mistake. It's a mistake. It's a mistake.
My name's Jimmy. It's Monday. That's right, we made it through the weekend. And now the time has arrived. The elusive unicorn. Into the Microcosm is on the air.
Broken lines and broken strings, broken threads and broken springs, broken arrows and broken heads, people sleeping in broken beds. Ain't Ain't no news of jiving, ain't no news of joking. Everything is broken. Broken bottles and broken plates. Broken switches and broken gates. Broken dishes, broken pots. Streets of fear with broken hearts. Broken words never meant to be spoken. Everything is broken.
That's right, Lord have mercy. Can't get ahead, no way I try. You gone down to the grocery store lately? Somebody do something, man.
Abstract. Listen.
That's right, these prices, they're out of control.
I'm working 40 hours, 6 long days, and I'm highly embarrassed every time I get my pay. And they're working everybody, Lord, they're working poor folks to death. And when you pay your rent and your car note, you ain't got a damn thing left. Ain't that a bitch? Yes, it is. Somebody doing something slick. Yeah, they are. It's got me wondering which is which. Might as well go uptown and dig a ditch. Ain't that a bitch? Yes, it is. Now, ain't that a bitch? Let me tell you about my qualifications. I program computers. I know accounting and psychology. I took a course in business, and I can speak a little Japanese. Fuck's on. Got to work 2 years to get 1 week off with pay. And when I'm on my job, I better watch every word I say. Ain't that a bitch? Boy, somebody doing something slick downtown.
Somebody's definitely doing something slick downtown.
There's a port on a western bay, and it serves 100 ships a day. Lonely sailors pass the time away and talk about their homes. And there's a girl in this harbor town, and she works laying whiskey down. They say, Brandy, fetch another round. She serves them.
Brandy Lou, are you there?
I'm here, Jimmy, and I'm digging deep in my pockets and not finding the coinage. I can't even afford that little beer I'm selling.
I know. I got nothing but lint in my pocket. No, I'm just kidding. I got a little bit more than lint. But, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the microcosm. Brandy Lou is here. And what we're going to be talking about tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is something that is really, its time has really come. But, I'll tell you what that's going to be, the future of living in a self-sustaining village. That's what we're going to be focusing on tonight. We're going to be focusing on some solutions that are, viable, that everybody can get into. It doesn't take a lot of brains, really. All you really need is the microcosmic idea of it, and then you can extrapolate it for yourself however you want to. But before we get there, I saw a report earlier today, Brandy. I was, scrolling around, drinking my coffee, and I noticed this article of a butcher who worked at a meat shop. He said, quote unquote, he was warning people of coming shortages, that they had ordered 2,000 pounds of beef and they had only received 750 pounds of their order, and that all that meat was gone almost immediately. So it caused me to start taking a look around, and I noticed that, I mean, I went over to I did some boots on the ground. I went over to the grocery store, took a look around, and there's a clear, distinct upward trend in foods and prices of foods. I've noticed that the prices of the unhealthy items have even gone up, but they're still less than the healthier, quote-unquote, organic items, Brandy. So I know you had you wanted to go take a look around and see what you sniff around, see what you could, come up with as far as these prices. What were you able to come up with, Brandy? Were you able to find anything in regard to the steep rise in these prices and shortages?
Found a lot of interesting stuff. If we want to talk about the beef first, that's probably one that's most recognizable to most people, because we sort of base a lot of our purchases on, hey, what's a pound of hamburger cost these days? And I looked at, what does it cost here? What does it cost, say, in Canada? And kind of even what prices are around the world, and they're ranging anywhere from here, anywhere from like $9.99 a pound on way up. And when you're talking places like Singapore, even I think they were like $64. One of the countries was $64 a pound, or a kilo, I guess they use.
So they're not. So the thing is that Bill Gates was on there the other day saying, hey, you'll eat less meat, and you'll have cricket burgers, and it's all good, but you can have meat if you want it, Brandy. You just can't afford it anymore.
Yeah, you just got to pay for it. And the thing, what's beautiful for his little worldview on that is the fact that we conveniently had this crisis last year that affected meat packing plants, which got shut down. There were multiple animals that they just slaughtered and did not use to put into the market because they didn't have the people at the factories to slaughter them and produce them for sale. And a lot of meat packing places got closed down. And I remember something about chickens. They had to kill a bunch of chickens.
Yeah.
So, we were talking to our friend Bruce MacDonald, who was saying there in Canada that he's seeing chicken.
Yeah, go ahead. Four breasts. Yeah, four boneless breasts chicken, $31. And he and he was saying that it's 80 cents on the dollar up there. So against the American dollars. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. So I looked into that as well, and that I did find that to be true. Now, I know that our food prices in the United States vary greatly. So, like where I might be paying $2.50 for a gallon of milk, wasn't Rio saying it was around $6 there where he lives in New York?
I think he said $5. It's $5 here in California. It's $5 for a loaf of bread, ladies and gentlemen. Let me ask you a question. Seriously, how hard is it to make bread? I'm just saying, ladies and gentlemen, make your own bread, man. I mean, I'm going to start doing it. And you know what else I'm going to start doing? I'm going to start making my own pasta, too. Okay? Bag of flour, get yourself some yeast. That was the hardest thing to find during the last year in the store.
Yes, you couldn't find yeast. Oh, my goodness, it was awful. Because you know what? Everybody was doing that stuff. They were baking and trying things they hadn't tried before, but for some people it was sheer sustainability because they couldn't get it. I mean, we couldn't find bread.
How about I just stop shipping my yeast to your store? The bread company, comes over to the yeast guy and goes, hey, yeast guy, I'll give you X amount of dollars if you don't ship yeast, because you're paying $5 or $6 for a loaf of bread. I mean, that literally is the world we're living in. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's how business gets done in America, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Well, and it says in the Bible, or there's a song about it, a piece of gold would buy a loaf of bread. Here we are. Hello. It's very expensive.
It is expensive, and it's not going to be getting any cheaper anytime soon. And the thing about it is, Brandy, and I was one of these people, a long time ago, many years ago, there was a big push for seeds. When Alex Jones was, on his way up, and the alternative media wasn't as big as it is now. There wasn't that many outlets, and a lot of people used to be involved in seeds. buying and selling of seeds. Some people made literally in this period of time, some people made literally millions of dollars selling these buckets of seeds to people. Okay,
I believe it.
Yeah, and
that was also hard to find is seeds. If you could get the GMO seeds, you could get the cheap seeds, but if you wanted decent, good seeds that you knew were going to grow and going to grow something that didn't have a lot of crap in it, it was a waiting period.
Well, and the thing is back then they were selling them buckets of seeds. You could put them in your thing. They were selling, so they were selling some of the best seeds that that money could buy. And now, like you were saying, the seeds are gone. But here's the thing: a lot of people that have seeds or who have bought seeds in the past, they really don't have a clue about. They think that when the day comes that they need food, that they're going to go to their little seed bucket. And they're gonna pull it out, and they're gonna grow themselves a little garden full of food, And I mean, on some level, yes, you can, but on another level, if you've never grown anything before, you're gonna find out. You're gonna find out like how I found out, which is the hard way.
Right, Jimmy.
In other words, if I was waiting, I was growing this corn, and I was growing it. And there it was. Every day I'd look at it. It was getting bigger and bigger. And then it was a piece of corn, and then it was... And I was getting ready, man. I was going, oh, yeah. I'm going to have me some corn on the cob, boy. And then I came out one morning, and some rat went on every single stalk of that corn and ate just a little few kernels off each ear. And so my crop was better. I mean, I live in a small place. I don't have a giant, crop, but I'm just saying my little crop that I was counting on, boom, gone. And that's these things can happen to you. So the thing is, even if you don't plan on feeding yourself off a garden, it's a good idea to just get in the habit of being able to springtime, put some stuff together, grow yourself some tomatoes, do something just so you got the idea of having yourself at least a little bit of a green thumb, And if you live in an apartment, you think it's not possible to do, think again. You can go on YouTube and you can go look. There's a million videos up there. People have made these sweet vertical gardens out of old pop bottles. So you take like a 2-liter bottle, you cut the bottom off of it, you turn it upside down, you put them up on a rack, you pump the water up to the top, and it waters those top plants, and then it comes out of the hole down at the bottom, and it waters the next set. And this way you can make a compact little growing area, and you can just grow herbs, man, for your food or whatever. Just it doesn't have to be extravagant, it doesn't have to be wild. You can do
sometimes even in the best of times, you can't always get those herbs, and those are so healthy for you. And that's one of the things that we need to be concerned about these days, too, is helping keep our immunities up. And the lovely thing about doing that is you can move it. Say, around here, we'll get these really bad storms come through, and it'll just take your garden out. So if you have something you can move, bring it inside.
Well, say, for example,
it's wonderful.
What you can do, you can go get yourself a pallet. And use the pallet to put on or you could put it on a ladder. You know what I mean? You can go just buy crappy ladder and build it off a ladder, and then fold the ladder and move the ladder around. You could build it onto so you can put a hand truck behind it and roll it back and forth on your little patio, so it catches the best best sun for the day. I mean, there's a million things you can do, ladies and gentlemen, and we should start to think about some of these easy solutions that we can take advantage of at home. So go on with your investigation now. So the beef is a big problem, and obviously, it's funny how these things all line up with the climate change agenda. So in other words, beef is bad because it causes carbon emissions. Beef is bad simply because of how the animals are treated. There's a lot of reasons why beef is bad. There is, right? We all know. I mean, I love my burgers. I love my steaks. I'm not saying I love tri-tips. I love my beef. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is there's a lot about the production of beef that's disgusting and nasty. And so on some level, it's you get into this argument where it's like you're not for drunk driving, are you, Brandy? You don't like people's rights being violated, and you say something about it, and they turn it around and go, well, you're not for drunk driving. You can't argue against it. And it's the same thing with this beef thing. Eventually, it'll be to the point where you can't argue against it because if you look at the heinous way that it's raised and the disgusting meat that actually comes into these stores in the first place, in order for you to really get beef, the true beef, the grass-fed beef, the stuff that's, that actually tastes like a steak. I mean, this stuff that you get now, it's like, I wonder how long it's even been in there. Especially those tubes.
It doesn't taste like it used to either, and you can really taste that difference. And a lot of that has to do with what they're being fed, and they must feel sick all the time because they're having the wrong kind of food, and then they get infections, and they have to have antibiotics, which then goes into our systems. The whole process is unhealthy and it's inhumane. And the sad thing about it, the argument that I could make is, look, we want to address that problem. We can address that problem. It can be done properly. Will we have to pay more? Probably. I would say definitely. But we're going to end up doing that anyway.
Well, you'll notice now, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have a lot of money and you want to eat some good food, here's what you do. Make sure you buy kosher.
Right.
Because there's the religious laws in place to keep GMOs out of kosher food. The way that kosher food is prepared, the way that certain things are butchered, there's a whole situation around it. Look into it. You don't have to be Jewish to eat kosher, and
it has to do with the adrenochrome too, and the way that they slaughter and what that releases into the blood of the animal before it dies, and then we ingest that. So that's part of the reason for the kosher.
So was there anything, was there any distinct differences in the pricing? Like, were you able to look back at 2019 to 2021 and see any distinct, I mean, obviously, we see the price of plywood is, $100 a sheet or whatever right now for 3/4. But go ahead. But have you noticed any real distinct, steep increases? Hello? Brandy. Oh, you're not. I guess you're not.
The button would not unbutton. The mute button.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there was some. But what's interesting, what I researched, to me, it didn't seem to go along with what's really happening, because I got some price increases over the year, and like from 2019, the food costs raised about 9%, which was still below the normal 20-year annual average of like 2%. Things like poultry, eggs, and fats and oils and fresh fruits actually went down in 2019, but everything else increased. Fresh vegetables increased by 3.8%. Eggs actually went down by 10%. But last year in 2020, the overall prices increased by about 3.5%. Veal and beef went up almost 10%. Pork 6.5%. Poultry about 5.5%. And fresh fruits actually decreased.
Do you think the fresh fruits decreased because of local delivery of things that are here that didn't have to be shipped in from around the world? Do you think the prices maybe went down because they were
I wondered about that too, because but what I noticed, and I don't know if you noticed this or not, the selection was not as good, which would make sense with what you just said, because we wouldn't be getting things shipped in.
Yeah, we only getting what's seasonal or what's available in the country. I mean, I don't mind that. You know what I mean? I do not mind that, ladies and gentlemen, because I mean, take a look. If you look at some of this, and I mean, nothing against Mexico or whatever, but there's some places there that they grow food that's considered in our country to be organic. So if you see something in your store says organic product from Mexico, I say exit stage left. Do not buy that product until you check into where it came from, because there's some of these places, they're literally growing it in human sewage. And
right, which is organic.
It's
really, organic means of the earth. So
yeah, technically it's organic. Anyways, we're coming up on the break. Don't forget, listener-supported Revolution Radio. 40 people in the chat. Zippy 101, Lila, Just Me, Rio. Hey, what's up, bro? Eagle Flowers in their Factor Theory, Dude Guy, Festus B, Mr. Rowe, Choppy Waters, Boy Solomon, Mario, Dr. Meme Jing, Open Philosopher LP, Big D's in there. What's up, Big D? Pro Medics. Simply Red, 77, World Warrior, Rudolph, Ames, Marie, Comet, Monster 383, Dry Flag Guy, Walt E, Cat Dog Girl, Mace 139, Gino 2017, Batsman, and so many more that I can't see because I can't reach the mouse, Brandy. Whew. So when we come back from the other side of the bottom of the hour, we're going to start getting into some of these solutions to these problems. Did you have some more information regarding these prices? So, I mean, basically the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is the time may be here for you to cruise to these stores that you have in your area. You may have these grocery outlets, these different places, and to start stocking up on your dry goods. Get yourself some flour and yeast while you still can, because in the future you may want to, you may just want to make your own stuff, make your own food. There's all kinds of stuff you can do.
Always remember the toilet paper. Nobody thought we'd run out of toilet paper. Just remember that. Don't take it for granted that what you need is going to be there. Stock some up in your house. Know your neighbors. Know what they've got.
Yeah, it might be a good time to, get to know people around your neighborhood and, next door, strike up some conversations if you live in a complex, maybe get a group of people together. Who knows? I mean, the way you do it is everybody does a little bit and then everybody, pulls it out. Like Brandy, you got chickens, you got some eggs. I grew a bunch of cantaloupes and tomatoes over here. So I'll trade you some, cantaloupes for some of your eggs and so on and so forth, and because, hey, in the future, you may not be able to buy or sell without it, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that. You might not be able to move or do anything without your transportation passport, your immunization documentation, your papers, please, ladies and gentlemen. America. Something wrong in America. You know why? Because everybody, decided to just take a nap for a bit. Figured everything was under control. It was like everything's going to work out, and I don't know. Better start taking care of yourself immediately, if not sooner, right, Brandy? At the time,
don't depend on anybody else, and especially not the government. They are not your daddy.
No. Well, they are right now. They're a lot of people's daddy right now. And that's the thing, is if you got to live off of these pittances, man, if you got to live off these government handouts, they're not going to be enough for you to actually survive. You're still going to have to learn how to stretch it, especially the middle class. The middle class are the people that have to learn how other people have been living for a bit. So other people have been living under the government, tit for a long time, and they've learned how to work the system. And so the middle class in America that hasn't been in this situation before, they're like a babe in the woods. They don't know how to work the system. It's time to learn how to work the system for yourself now before it's too late, ladies and gentlemen. Mom's Jimmy. It's in the microcosm. It's the bottom. And we're going to be right back after these bottom of the hour messages. There we go. We're out of there. I didn't hear any bottom of the hour messages, so I figured we better get out while the getting was good, Brandy.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Better than being in here.
Yeah, so Bruce is going to join us in the second hour. And so that went pretty quick, that our first half
really
hour.
Fast. Yeah, I've actually got more details if you want to get into it.
Because then I can get close to the top of the hour after I get that video going for Homeboy. I mean, I'm going to get this video. I'm playing the whole video. Because the whole thing is necessary. I mean, the thing is, people are going to get bent out of shape because he's going to start talking about climate change. Oh, I can add him now, he says.
Okay.
Hang on, let me see. Let me add him. See if that adds. Did you add, Bruce? You there, Bruce?
I'm here.
Okay, cool.
I am.
All right, so we got a little bit more of this food prices, and then I got that video of the thing, and then autonomous communities and different ways off the grid and this and that and the other thing.
Yeah.
So we got about 2 minutes here. I need to take care of a little business over here. Brandy, say hello to the chat if you wouldn't mind while I'm doing that, so I can hang back here a second.
I do not mind. Hey, Bruce, how you doing? That's a nice picture there. It looks pretty.
What do I got there? Me on the horse?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going for an abaca pickup there. ABACA. You can just Google it and look at the image. It's the fiber we grow up here.
It's starting to hiss.
Yeah,
oh, crap. Let me call back on my phone.
Okay.
So let me say hello to everybody.
Yeah, do.
We've got Dub in there, John's in there, Gang of Four, Zoe's out there, Crystal, Dennis Barker, and starting to repeat. Hey, Bella, didn't see you come in. I always miss Bella coming in. Wanda's there. Dirt, did I say you, Dirt Engineer? And I think Patricia's there. I think I got everybody. It's good to have you. I hope what we're sharing today is helpful. There's stuff in there I hadn't thought of, and I learned a few things. Well, Shawnee's in there.
All right, stand by. I gotta get something and go back. It's too bad, man. I don't have time. You got time. All right, here we go. I'll come back with some Jackson Brown. As soon as I get it, we'll go back. Okay, you ready? Here we go.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without crying. Now I want to understand. I have done all that I could to see the evil and the good without hiding. You must help me if you can. Doctor, my eyes. Tell me what is wrong. Was I unwise to leave them open for?
My name's Jimmy. I wish we could get those bottom of the hour breaks programmed back in there. So apparently there wasn't a break. Sorry for the dead air. It's revolution.radiofreedomslips.com. My name's Jimmy. It's Into the Microcosm, and this is Jackson Brown.
And as each moment has unfurled, I've been waiting to awaken from these dreams. People go just where they will. I never know.
So, the American dream, does it exist? Is it dead? I don't know. Well, they used to base the cost of living on a steak and potatoes dinner. What it cost. And then they sneakily changed from steak to hamburger. And they never raised the cost of living for anybody on Social Security, and they play these weird games. And so now, what are we basing the cost of living on today? And the price of hamburger is, $10 a pound. Is that what you said, Brandy? Across the
Actually, like a steak, but hamburger I think ends up being, depending on where you are, maybe $5.99, $6.99 a pound on the top.
Okay,
price.
So when they set up the cost of living, the price of hamburger was $1.99.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now hamburger is whatever you say it is. Let's call it $7. Has the cost of living gone up for anybody on Social Security? These old people, what are they eating? Cat food?
Nope. And now they're looking at doing a 40% tax on capital gains.
We've been joined by Bruce MacDonald. Bruce MacDonald, are you there? I see you there. Maybe he can't come right now. I understand. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, let's finish up with this, and then let's get into these solutions, Brandy, because there are solutions, ladies and gentlemen, and there is a frontier just around the corner that may be possible. Maybe possible for us, and I'm going to show you a high-tech version of it, but we can low-tech it and do it anywhere you want to do it. I'm going to introduce you to something today that if you want to get a piece of land for yourself, you don't have any money, you got bad credit or no credit, I'm going to show you how to buy land today, and I'm not making nothing off of it. I'm going to introduce you to a site you can go to and take some of these solutions and go turn yourself into a autonomous community somewhere and go get yourself some land. Or like last week, we talked about these Zoom communities where they're giving you 10G to show up and be a at-home worker. Well, grab your 10 grand, put 10 people together. Get 10 friends of yours together that want to go pick some town and just move in and take it over. Vote all yourselves into office. That's how you do it, man. You get off the grid. You get autonomous. Go ahead, Brandy. Finish up with these prices so we can get into the solutions.
You got it. So as we talk about the solutions, one of the things that you should be aware of is what affects the prices of things and what may affect you as you are doing your own agrarian type living or homesteading. According to Goldman Sachs, the cost of feed and the supply and demand, or any kind of plight that occurs, like illnesses or disease in the animals or diseased plants, weather, that's all going to affect the cost, of course. And beef prices definitely go up as inflation takes hold, and everything goes up. According to the VP for Cattle Fox Industry Relations, it's an independent research, information, and analysis service, so they really know what they're talking about. One of the reasons it went up this year was higher grain prices. There were actually some foreign feed farmers that defaulted on their contracts, so because their crop prices increased, and exports are stronger now, so we're sending more out. And there's a tighter supply of all the protein, so that's made it go up. We already talked about how it was affected last year by the coronavirus, but that can happen, anytime. But you also need to look at food shortages, and that's something we need to be really aware of. That can all be affected by any kind of plights or weather or anything too. And some of the things that I want you to be aware of that might have either longer waiting times or we might be short on. You may have seen this when you went into the store. Seafood, which actually went up by, I had it down here. I think it was like 60%, 13%. I think it went up. Oils, soy oil and oil-based products went up 30%. Palm oil was only 10%, but there's a shortage of all types of vegetable oils. Houses definitely going up. Jimmy's right. The cost of lumber. I mean, I just bought some lumber last week, and what normally would be about $20 a sheet was nearing 60 or 70, and just a 2x4 would be about $10 per foot. I mean, it was insane. I thought we were saving money by putting some shelves up ourselves. It didn't happen like that, but you're also going to have to wait longer for some things. Like, interestingly, car production went down because of the weather and shortage of semiconductor chips. And those semiconductor chip shortages are creating problems with, like tablets, headphones, computers, iPhones.
Yeah, it's like I was having a discussion with someone recently, and I was pointing out that, it used to be you could go to the store, you could see something in there and think about buying it, but not buy it. And then, because you can come back anytime and get it. Well, it's not like that anymore because, First of all, if you were over at Kmart and you thought you were going to get something, you left and you came back, Kmart's closed. So you can't buy it. So the thing is, you go to the other stores, and the stuff that you think is going to always be there, it's not always going to be there. And these things that we have at home that we throw away when we're cleaning out, the thing is, you can't just go buy this stuff anymore. And when you go buy it, it's going to be 3 or 4 times as much as the one that you had. When have to, what I mean?
We cannot take for granted like we used to, and sort of have to go back to, maybe the wartime when they really had to make stuff stretch. And if you ever want to kind of get your mind wrapped around that, go online and look it up. Wartime recipes, wartime living. I mean, it's fascinating. You will learn a lot. It's actually a really smart thing to do.
Yeah. There's a reason they split off the people the older folk who lived through these old time hardships because I mean, there's a couple of old ladies on there. You can go find them on YouTube that gave you Depression era recipes and different things that they did. You know, this is wisdom passed down from older folk that actually went through it. My family, you know, on the East Coast, they were, you know, the first generation of my family here were immigrants, and you know, they kept pigeons out back, and that's why, you know, in New York and a lot of these cities, there's a lot of these pigeons. And the reason was because in Depression, people used to keep pigeons because they eat them. You know, they ate them like squaw. Yeah, they're easy to raise.
And rabbits too. They raised rabbits for that very same reason.
Exactly, and you can raise them in a small area. You know, and so on and so forth. These are some items you can do for yourself. You know, at home. I mean, you don't have the room to run yourself some beef or whatever. You could just have these different ways of getting yourself something. You know, you don't need a rooster to have eggs.
But if you don't have room for beef and producing, you know, but you have room for chickens, you trade some beef for some eggs with a neighbor, and you know, going like we mentioned before, just do some bartering, do some trading. And some cities even will allow chickens. Not a lot, but some will. But find somebody who does. Find somebody who has a cow.
Almost all cities allow chickens. What they don't allow is roosters, because you know, they don't want those roosters crowing in the morning. So, but you don't need roosters to have chickens laying eggs. So that's the thing.
A lot of people don't know that.
I know they don't. So there you go. You could have a chicken and be like, you could carry it around and, you know, treat it like a chihuahua. You know, like
I carry my chickens around. They're sweet.
Do you remember for a while everybody had, you know, Paris Hilton had that small chihuahua dog, and then everybody had chihuahua dogs? Well, maybe they should get somebody, and that's a cultural influencer, to walk around with a chicken, and everybody start having.
What's her name? Tony. Oh, I can't. There is a star that has a silky chicken, and I can't think of her name. She was in 90210. Somebody know her name? Yeah.
It's all too much. It's all too much. All right. So let's get into some of this now. Autonomous communities. So there's a lot of ways to go on this, and we'll go in one direction immediately. But there's something that's called a temporary autonomous zone, or a TAZ. There's a TAZ down in the desert of California. And this place is, there's no laws. It's where the military used to be a military base there. They tore out all the houses and they left the cement slabs on the ground where the old military barracks used to be. So this place is called the Slabs, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk a little bit more about the Slabs later, because these are temporary autonomous zones that are literally lawless. It's literally Mad Max. I'm not even kidding. And you can go look it up. You could look up the Slabs in California, temporary autonomous zone, and take a look at the Mad Max type situation. Mom's Jimmy. I'm sitting here with Brandy Lou, and we're about to get into some solutions for the future. It's Revolution Radio.
When they come to take you down, when they bring that wagon round, when they come to call on you and drag your poor body down, just one thing I ask of you, it's just one thing for me.
It's the last bastion of free speech, the house that Nighthawk built. Revolution Radio, Freedom Slips, Dakar.
Shake it, sugary. Just don't tell them that you know me. Shake it, sugary.
I've been a Silicon Valley entrepreneur most of my life, designing and developing video games, imagining magical worlds that somehow make sense. I was living and working just above the Golden Gate Bridge in Marin County, which is a really beautiful location. And at the dot-com crash of the year 2000, I decided to invest and change my career a little bit in filming case studies of organic and biodynamic family farming. Because I was particularly interested in this idea of Rudolf Steiner and his thinking that the cosmos is somehow connected to what we eat. And as I was doing that, and I was learning about food forests and permaculture and berms, we were discovering this is actually a high-yield way to grow organic food in a very small footprint. Pretty exciting stuff. At the same time, I was learning about these closed-loop circular systems, where the waste from one system was the input of another. And I started thinking about this topic more and more. Next to these beautiful artisanal family farms, we started to do the research on intentional communities, on eco-villages, where people were living with agency, and next to where their beautiful organic food was being grown. And I could see viscerally, okay, empirically, that what was happening there was healthy, strong communities, where people were living long, healthy, happy lives, multi-generational. And I was really inspired. And as we were filming this case study research, it started to really become, where is this food going? And this farm-to-table celebration of life, these stories of recipes, of families, of tradition, of culture. And then what happened was we started to film restaurants. And as we were doing that, we realized this research is turning into a cooking show. We were producing a cooking show, and it was a really nice format of where food was coming from, where it was going, and sort of the cycle of life around it. So I was filming these interviews with, let's say, 1 to 3 Michelin star chefs around the world. And I was so inspired by their stories. And of course, we ate, and we ate, and we ate delicious food from all over the world, this celebration of seasonality, this idea that we're all connected through what we eat, that it is actually a way to mitigate and broker peace within communities and have people come together with love and harmony, and yes, delicious food. So at the Apex, our TV series reached 35 million homes a week on national public television, and we had a best-selling companion cookbook on hachette. And it was really a wonderful experience for me. And as the show went into syndication and into reruns, the entrepreneurial spirit of the social game curve on Facebook sort of bit me a little bit. So I started to design and develop games based on affective neuroscience and on looking at how we could maybe trigger happiness, how we could look at pro-social behavior through game mechanics. And that led me to Stanford University, where I was then provided and offered a position as a senior researcher and a technologist.
So this dude, this guy, James Ehrlich, okay, this dude is super successful. I mean, look at everything what he just mentioned here in his little opening, this little 3 minutes and 50 seconds. What this dude has done with his life. Okay, and you know what I mean, look at how he saw something, he got into it, he saw the natural, which is, wow, look at all this great organic vegetables that these people are growing, you know, let's cook some of it up. And he turned that into a TV show that, you know, went out there, and as a result of everything that he learned, it put him in a position to get involved in what's called self-sustaining villages, ladies and gentlemen. And he has just now, Brandy, arrived at Stanford, and he is about to explain what goes on at Stanford University right down the street from my house, about 30 miles or so. And it's called The Farm. I grew up in Palo Alto, and we used to hang out and play at Stanford University when I grew up. So The Farm, it's a healthy place, and lots of things grow out of the farm. And here's one of them right here.
Stanford, I'm surrounded with the best colleagues I've ever worked with in my whole life. And on a university campus that has spawned over 13,000 startups with an aggregate revenue globally of about $3.5 trillion US.
So Stanford University has sparked 13,000 startups. Brandy. 13,000. So people...
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's really a startup. Wow.
And they just jumped right out the door, went across the street, and they're in Santa Clara, where the Silicon Valley exists, and the Bay Area, one of the most intensely creative spaces in the whole world. For some reason, there's a magic that goes on here, beyond the black magic that everybody's interested in, but there's a real magic that goes on here because for whatever reason, these people with big brains or good ideas end up here, and those things turn into futures for people, and that we're actually living in somebody else's idea right now, somebody else's inventions to put us where we are now. And there's a way to spring into the future that and a way to put things maybe right in our mistakes in the past by not understanding how nature worked the way that we do today in 2021, to take what we've learned about the earth and the way nature works and take these things and these methods that nature uses to build in nature and replicate those from a human perspective, build our buildings like an ocean sponge construction type of thing. And this is going on. So they're taking the forms of nature and understanding them better and utilizing them in actual construction methods that go on for building high-rises using sea sponges. Mom's Jimmy, it's in the microcosm. I'm here with Brandy Lou, and we're getting into it, the future of living self-sustaining villages.
And I was living in a magical bubble, really, a wonderful bubble, until 2013, when I started to see this, the climate data. And I realized that things were not going to plan on the planet. At the same time, because I'm affiliated with NASA Ames Research Park, I could see this mathematical equation that was created in 2013 that predicts civilization collapse in the next 30 years, not as a can, but a will. And at the same
So if you're triggered by that or whatever, just pass it on. It doesn't matter the reason why we come up with ways to improve how we live on the earth. If that needs to be some dude's reason to light a fire under his ass because he believes that, and it lights a fire under his ass, and then he invents something that improves the world for everybody as a result of it, it doesn't hurt anything. If somebody wants to believe something, let them believe it. Look, you cannot logically argue with the idea of climate change. Climate changes. Okay, there's nothing you can say to that one. They changed the marketing from global warming to climate change. You can't argue with it. Don't be triggered by it. It's not us causing the warming or the cooling. Doesn't matter. It made this guy get excited and find some ways to get around what he finds to be the future of the world, which is civilization collapse as a result of people being in these giant cities. His idea is get out of the city, and that's my idea too, and that's what Brandy's thinking. Here you go.
Time, there was a UN report that basically said humanity has to start spreading back out from megacities. And actually the best way to feed 10 billion people is with small, organic, biodynamic family farms, which was germane to my research for almost 14 years. This is the way the world used to look up until 1950. Okay, this is a Rockefeller Foundation report that nearly 2/3 of the whole planet's population.
So it's showing a graph, and it's showing 3 billion people, and it's showing all the potable water and all the land that's available. Okay?
Lived in small, self-sustaining communities. And this is what 2050 will look like. Nearly 10 billion people will be living in crowded megacities that are on the coasts. And this is a recipe, in my mind, for disaster. So at that point, my son Louis was 2.5 years old. And I looked into his eyes, and I saw what 30 years from now would look like. and I was petrified. And I realized I had to do something. So I volunteered on campus at Stanford for this project called the Solar Decathlon. It's an annual 20-university competition of who can build the most energy-positive home. And I was the organic food coach, right, for this project. And I realized pretty quickly that a smart house inside of a dumb neighborhood makes absolutely no sense. So in the summer of 2014, I went to Versailles, France, and I like to say in the shadow of a very unsustainable palace, I saw this: 20 beautiful energy-positive homes that got built in 2 weeks on top of a Schneider Electric microgrid. All of the homes were load balancing their power, electric vehicles buzzing around. It was like a clean, green version of Burning Man. And I was just blown away. And at that point, I realized it was possible.
Clean, green version of Burning Man. I like the sounds of it. And we're at the top of the hour. We're getting ready to go to the top of the hour messages. Don't forget, come on down and become a supporter of free speech. You can do it right there at freedomslips.com. Top of the page, Patreon. Go on in there, become a patron. Then there's a Zazzle store. Anything you buy can and will donate a portion to the station. And then, of course, you can always go down to the bottom of the page to find Lady Horse's mailing address, and you can want to donate that way and send some mail. Go ahead. If you don't have anything to give, that's fine. A prayer would be good. Any kind of sharing of the station would be great. These things don't cost money, and so we appreciate all that. Remember, 48 hours a day, 7 days a week, ladies and gentlemen. Studio A, Studio B. The list goes on with all the shows and all the different viewpoints that are here, and I'm sure there'll be one that will resonate with you, and that's the house that Nighthawk built, where everybody comes. It's like the underground of public radio. My name's Jimmy. It's into the microcosm.
When I get home from my job, I turn on my TV, but I can't keep my mind on the show. When I lay down at night, I can't get no sleep, so I turn on my radio. But the only sound I hear is you whispering in my ear the words that you used to say.
And tonight at 10:30 Pacific, we make our debut as the show that follows Clyde Lewis on Aftermath.fm.
When he's got the fever for a girl.
Got the fever, oh, I got the fever. Let this little boy. I can remember coming home. I feel standing at the stove with the dishes on the table, till I'm ready to go. Oh, never on out to a movie show, something that you'd like to see. Whatever you're my sun in the morning and my moon at night. Think about you, baby. I feel alright. There's no longer as my love grows strong. Fever is worse and I've got the fever for you. Got the fever. Oh, I got the fever. There ain't nothing that a poor boy can do when he's got the fever.
Oh, yeah. Sweet. Sweet. Hang on, you guys. I just got a message I gotta check.
Coming home, I feel standing
Yep, I just got the I just now got the message that says no, they aren't. There's not going to be an archive of those shows. So the whole show behind the wall is going to be a completely different show that no one's ever even heard. So everything that goes behind there, all the podcast episodes at Aftermath, they're going to be by themselves. Nothing to do with like the on-air stuff. Because the on-air stuff, we have a music license on Aftermath FM, so we could play music. But there's no license for that music behind the paywall, so the music can't be there. So it can't be the same show behind the paywall as it is over here, the free show that's on the air. So there'll be a difference, but I'll be doing them. Everything that we do over there, I'm going to be doing here. So the live air show that goes on here, I'll ask him if I can leave it up over here. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't matter over here with the music. So we'll see. You there, Brandy?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm going to get some more music, and then we'll get ready to go back. Damn it. I need something to drink. I'm gagging on something. I don't know what it was. I think it was that coffee. There's nothing worse than, like, piss warm coffee.
Oh.
That's just, like... It wasn't enough sugar in it to begin with, and I didn't put enough milk in it, so it's kind of got this tangy, fucked up taste.
That's gross.
It's disgusting.
I don't really like coffee anyway.
I hate lukewarm ass coffee. There's nothing, I hate it. But I always have lukewarm coffee, because by the time I always get my coffee, it's hot, I set it down, and then I got to do all this shit, and then I forget about it until like 20 minutes later, and and by that point it's cold. I even tried to get one of those coffee heater things you put under the cups or whatever.
Well, don't try to get a Yeti, because there's a wait list on those. It's one of the products that I discovered is delayed.
All right, we're going back. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. I just got the go-ahead for tonight, so we're on 5 nights a week, 10:30 to midnight. Boom.
Bang.
Estimate your entire existence at the hands of the bankers and the elites. The war is coming, and it's your choice to decide if you want to be a warrior or a victim. Denial is not a choice anymore. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the planet. Not giving up. Revolution Radio. All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
Mom's Jimmy. It's into the microcosm. We're talking about future. The future of living in this self-sustaining village, ladies and gentlemen. Can you be self-sustaining through your own contributions? I do believe you can. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to show you the ultra high-tech way of doing it. And all of which, I would say almost every single idea that I've seen put forward in this dude's presentation was done on the internet by people. You can go on the internet right now and you can find out how to make a hot water heater on the roof of your house with a black hose. You can find out how to cut a 4-inch PVC pipe in half and take some window tint and put it on the inner curve of that, and put a copper pipe in between on a 10-foot or 8-foot stick. Put the caps on either end and drill a hole on either side, and put a copper pipe and run it down the center of that pipe. And when the sun beats down on that PVC pipe and reflects up off that reflective material, that window tinting material that you get down at the auto parts store, it superheats that copper pipe. Okay, now you could put as many of those up on your roof as you want. Okay, that's a simple thing. So look, people around the world have found simple solutions to major problems. One of the things this guy does is he grows food in the neighborhood where you live. Everything's connected. So this is an interconnected system of existence. But it doesn't have to be like this right away. You can do this yourself without waiting or trying to get involved with what this guy's doing. You can do this for yourself. And we're going to show you some ways to do that today. I'm going to show you a place if you have bad credit or no credit, or even if you have good credit, it doesn't matter. You can go here, you can buy the kind of land that you can get at a price that you can afford, and then you can go build yourself whatever kind of town you want. Seriously. My name's Jimmy. It's in the microcosm. I'm here with Brandy Lou. Brandy, are you ready to go? Are you strapped in? Ready to move?
Let's take off. I'm home.
Okay,
I'm tucked in tight.
Nice. Okay, here we go.
Marry this with organic food, clean water, waste-to-resource management, and reinvent the modern eco-village. And that's when Regen Villages was born. We brought in a Danish architect called Effect from Copenhagen to help us realize our first feasibility study. Now, inside Regen Villages, you don't have to be a farmer, you don't have to be an engineer, you buy a house, you rent a house, and then basically what happens is you pay an association fee. And every week, a basket of delicious organic goodies are brought to your door that were grown right outside your door. Now, we're also designing a blockchain-enabled app that will let you and your family participate in the community as you like, and then your association fee will thus be reduced. So it's an eco-village, in other words, on your own terms. We like to say that we more grow a neighborhood than build one. So we start under the ground with water cisterning, with energy storage, and at the same time, we do berms and permaculture and food forests. Imagine walking with an empty plate from one end of a neighborhood to the other, and when you end up at the other side of the neighborhood, you have a meal. It's a really exciting idea. We brought together some of the world.
So here's the thing about permaculture, Brandy. Now here's something I wish I would have known. I wish I would have known some of this stuff like in my 20s, for example. Because if you realize, if you're a young person and say you're, 20, 30, something like that, maybe 40, it doesn't matter, and you get a piece of property, and you grow your property with the idea that as you get older, your property begins to produce food, so that when you got to a certain age, there'd be a bountiful, plentiful array of different foods that were being grown right on your own property, and growing without you really doing anything, because you plant it scientifically. You plant under trees that are growing nuts or fruits or whatever. Under those trees, you plant berry bushes that grow and feed off the dead systems that fall off the other trees. And then you put berries there, and you grow different things under these different trees. And basically what you create what he just described as a food forest, Brandy. So that like when you're old, man, you're just walking outside and grabbing some apples and getting yourself some berries over there, and you got your blueberries over here, and you got your grapes that are growing over there. You basically walk out in your backyard, and every summer and spring it's producing for you with little or no work as far as you're concerned at that point. Really, it's because these are not rows of vegetables. These are just trees and different types of vines and different things that you can make and put together all in this, concoction of a cornucopia of living a life that doesn't require you to spend most of your time and energy chasing after these very items. That once you have yourself a autonomous, sustainable system, that's the other thing is they've trained everybody to be, every conservative person to be triggered by something that's called unsustainable or the word sustainable. But the thing about it is, just logically speaking, don't you want to be able to sustain, don't you want some sustaining something to be able to just, perpetuate life and sustain life without really anything to do with, be like Garden of Eden. Right, Brandy? I mean, that is not the Garden of Eden, the world that God created for us. We should just walk. Yeah, we shouldn't have to need money to just walk around and eat of the fruits of our labor. What does that mean? Well, that means my labor.
So consumer oriented though, and people are so into buy, and have, and that's going to have to change.
That's the thing is the thing is that we've spent so much money in our lives on consumables that we just threw in the garbage, that if we took that same amount of money and actually spent it on something tangible, like some crappy piece of acreage that in some rural area that no one cared about, that you could have bought for almost nothing. Think of how much money we've just thrown in the garbage every week of shit that we bought, some plastic crap that we didn't even need, or some, I mean, it's just like, the money system and the way this whole thing works is like, if you could live like this idea here of sustainable villages, it would almost destroy the system. So let's take a listen more here. We got about 5 minutes left of this discussion. Here we go.
Best technology partners to be integrated in a way they've never been integrated before, which is at the neighborhood scale. At the same time, because we're born out of university research, we use these universities to allow us to build and replicate these neighborhoods at scale around the world. So, at the heart of Regen Villages is biomimicry. If you're familiar with this idea, we basically model what Mother Earth has been doing really well for 4.5 billion years. And we add a light layer of software and technology and sensors over the top of that to send that data to the cloud so we can then improve those thriving mechanisms. There are some people who think that robots are first going to take our jobs and then kill us. And I'd like to sort of get ahead of that curve, if that's all possible. So Regen Villages, what we do is we use that data. So neighborhoods in similar climate zones can learn from each other. They can improve. And then, next thing you know, the thriving gets better and better year after year. And I think that's a really exciting use of technology. So I'm happy to say that we are building our first neighborhood here in Europe. We're breaking ground in July in the Netherlands. It's very emotional for me because it's been 15 years in the making with research and planning. But the bottom line is Regen Villages is being born in a lovely municipality called Almere. Almere is just 20 minutes by train from the heart of Amsterdam. And it's really interesting because this whole peninsula was underwater 55 years ago. The Dutch had diked off the northern part, had pumped it out, and this landmass became apparent. And since then, nearly 200,000 people have moved there, and they're nearly looking to double that in the next 15 years. So we have a beautiful piece of organic farmland that we plan to put 300 families on top of, arable farmland, to prove that we can produce more organic food, clean water, clean energy, and mitigated waste while putting families on that land than if you just left it for organic monoculture or for conservation. We think that really moves the needle for the way forward for humanity spreading out.
So I think it really moves the needle, Brandy. What do you think? You think that moves the needle? I think it does. What about these Native Americans? What about these Native Indians here in America? What about these reservations? What about these universities going out and having a meeting with some of these tribes and saying, hey, man, check it out. We got this new sustainable village situation that we want to do, and we got millions of dollars to spend on it. How about this? If you let us build it here, we'll let you have it when we're done. How about that? So why don't you work in a synergetic nature, with some of the natives and get them involved so they can help out with some of the ideas behind these natural formations of communities, these autonomous, self-sustaining villages, Brandy.
Something magical happened last year at the Venice Biennale for architecture. We went viral. We've had about 24 million hits to our website. We've had about 40,000 emails from all around the world that still keep coming in every day, and 4,500 families signed up for our first neighborhood in the Netherlands. We've got a really good problem on our hands, folks. So our plan is to build 77,000 homes in the next 8 years in 22 countries. And some people might say, gosh, that sounds really ambitious considering you haven't built your first village yet. And other people might say, is it enough? And those are the folks that I like to take coffee with, right? Because we need more houses on the planet. About 2 billion, they estimate, we need in the next 30 years. So if you don't know this guy, you should. His name was R. Buckminster Fuller, or Bucky, and he was quite an inspiration for me because he was the one guy in the 1960s that the hippies trusted who was over 30. Because he designed a map of the world based on natural resources, not on arbitrary capricious lines. He also was the inventor of the geodesic dome, a 3-wheel car that got 25 miles to the gallon, a lot of interesting things. Now, Bucky's famous quote was, if you want to build something, don't fight. Build something that makes the old model obsolete. Inside Regen Villages, you're safe.
So there it is. Build something. Bruce MacDonald, I think I see you've joined us. Are you there?
I'm here, man. I totally agree with Buckminster Fuller. This is what I've been trying to say, is that everybody's fighting these people for control of the central narrative, coming out of Washington, Ottawa, wherever, London. Stop fighting with them, man. Do exactly what Buckminster Fuller said and go and out-create them. Create something more desirable that people would want to live in. I've done it for myself. You can do it for yourself. You can do it in small groups of people. You got to out-create them. That's the way to get out of what we're going through. It's the way to get out of it. And these poor saps marching up from Honduras, they have no idea, man, what's going on. They have no idea what's waiting for them in the U.S. and the fact that there's nothing really there.
Well, that's what I've been saying, man. If there's suckers that still believe in the American dream, let them in and tax them up and get open the borders and let us out. If people still believing in this, man. Look, I'm this isn't the country that I grew up in. I mean, the stuff that's going on. I mean, I'm not sitting in judgment of it, but I'm just saying, there's opportunity for there to be a brain drain out of the United States of America to countries around the world. And
It's going on now. I brought this up on a roundtable last week. Hijacker called in and cut me off. He didn't believe it. What's going on now is a lot of these countries, like the one I live in, Costa Rica, they're creating a new class of visa called a digital nomad visa. You can come here and live for a year, and there's no requirement by Costa Rica to pay taxes on the money you make outside of Costa Rica. They're actually constructing apartment buildings and beach compounds, like where 20, 30, 40 people can live, in what are the equivalent of bachelor apartments, but they have super high-speed internet.
Wow.
And they're geared to people who are traveling over the world while working for Silicon Valley companies. Because most of the workforce for these big companies now is distributed, right? This is what I do. I've worked as a remote resource since I came here, right, in 2015. And so it's going on big time now. Everybody's coming up with these digital nomad visas. And, by the way, before you ask, they give you medical in the country. I think you pay, like in Costa Rica, you pay $50 a month.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the medical system here. You can go have an operation if you want, while you're on your digital nomad visa.
Oh, man.
$50 a month. $50 a month, dude. $50 a month. You're fully covered medically. Now, it's not Mount Sinai, the level of care, but I mean, the hospitals in San Jose are 95% of it. 95% of you're not going to get that final 5% of super medicine but even if you live in the United States, that's only available to millionaires anyways.
Well, technically, I mean, you shouldn't be messing. You don't go to hang around the barbershop. Eventually, you get a haircut. I mean, I don't go to the doctors unless it's an emergency. So if you're not, if you're not hanging around the doctors looking for a bunch of treatment, I mean, they got everything you need in Costa Rica and of course in other places too. So the thing is, So do you think then the psychology behind all of a sudden this trend to these Zoom towns that are developing all around the world? Do you think that they're making this available and sumptuous for us to look at, and then they're going to say, well, you can only do that if you have it? What is it? Your passport. Your immunity passport.
Yeah.
Or do you think that's going to be something that's going to be a requirement for some of these, activities?
I think that's all going to fall apart by about the end of 2023. I think it's part of a very controlled program they're doing for 2 or 3 years. I think it's something of a purge or a cult. I think the general attitude is if you're stupid enough to take the vaccine, you deserve to die. It's that simple.
But I mean, is this not a way though to gather the information willingly from participants so that you could gain a positive identification on people to utilize across these smart cities and on the internet? In other words, no more internet for you. You'll have the old internet, the clunky, shitty one over here. But if you want to get on the internet too, where all the blockchain people are and the crypto monies and all this other really high speed shit is, you're going to have to be able to ID to get on because they need to know it's going to be you. So people are super against giving up this thing and becoming with this ID, right? So what a better way to take the demographic that shows with the masking, take them and have them be willing to go ahead and give their ID, give their retina scan, and prove that they've been vaccinated before they could go back to work, this type of thing. So they're going to be willing to give that information up, I think.
It depends where you live, I think. I think this is becoming increasingly attractive for North America. I don't know what's going on. I think maybe that some settlement's been reached with China and the debt was settled with land or something. But they seem to have an unbelievable influence in North America now. I've learned new things now.
I know. Yeah, I want you to expand on that, but I wanted to say, so what I see, this is what I see, is I see the round eyeing of the Chinese system. I see it being brought in through Canada. So I'm seeing the Chinese man and his system over in China for Chinese people. But there has to be a new system designed specifically for the demographic that resides in North America. And so they need to get that in here somehow. And it seems like what's going on is the Maurice Strong connection that you brought up with with the Prime Minister, and then the way that China is now coming in through Canada, and now Canada are making these gestures as far as the internet is concerned, as far as freedom of movement, freedom of speech, all these things. They're turning Canada into China. Bruce MacDonald, go ahead.
Well, even more alarming, I found out recently that the Canada Pension Plan has put a significant amount of its money, which I peg at about 70 billion Canadian now, which would be about 62 billion US. But remember, there's only like 37 million people in Canada. We're like less populated than California, the one state. So, but that's what our pension plan is. And I've recently learned, and when I first heard this, I thought it was a lie. It isn't. The Canada Pension Plan, which is our Social Security, the public pension when you're 65, is heavily invested in the Chinese mainland banking system now. That's mind-boggling. Okay, so if we're going into a great reset, why is the CPP, the Canada Pension Plan, Jesus, that's creepy, even the lettering, right? CCP and CPP, Chinese Communist Party and Canadian Pension Plan. It's just eerie how similar those two things are.
It's like Obama and Osama.
Yeah. Why are we plugging so much money into China? That doesn't really jive with the Great Reset, does it? You know? And what they're going to do, guys, is they're going to take away all the categories of public assistance, and they're just going to lump it into one thing called universal basic income.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be welfare, unemployment, old age security, everything, right? Medical disability.
Yep.
It's all going to be universal basic income. And they're going to change the rules, and they don't have the money to pay these programs out, right? So they've committed massive fraud. America doesn't have the Social Security money right now, and Canada doesn't have the CPP money right now.
I've been saying the same thing, Bruce. I think you're 100% correct, is that they are going to, because, you know, and the other thing is I think when that happens, it will be done through a digital currency. Because the thing about this, when you're establishing a new digital currency, the thing about it is when you first put it out, it's not worth anything. It's not worth anything till people start using it. So the thing is when they give it to you, it didn't cost them anything. So it's not worth anything until people start spending it into the system. And so I think this idea that, you know, providing you with 1.5 transfer, you got 10 grand in the bank. If you transfer over to the new digital money and get your new digital ID, we're going to give you 15 grand. But if you don't do it, 60 days from now, your 10 grand's only going to be worth 5.
Yeah.
You know,
and there will be profound geographic limitations on where you can spend your universal basic income. So if you leave the country of origin, they won't transfer it to a foreign bank. Whereas all the ancillary programs, they did. So you know how many people are down here in Costa Rica living off a Social Security check of $1,500 US a month? If you're a single man, like 68 years old, retired in Costa Rica, and all you've got is your Social Security, $1,500 a month, dude, you can live like a king down here. You could get a really great apartment for $200 a month. Probably your property owner will have fruit trees. Dude, you can live magnificently down here on $1,500. It would be the equivalent of having $4,000 a month in a major U.S. city. Seriously, that's what it's. Maybe even $5,000, because cost of living is so cheap down here, right? And so a lot of people. But now, what they're going to do with the universal basic income is it stays in the country of origin. So they're really clamping down on travel, but at the same time, if you're one of their favorable citizens, and they seem to favor technology people, anybody who ends up in software coding or anything like that, this whole other new world is opening up where you can do things even our parents couldn't do as baby boomers, like me, technical writing or doing tax credit writing for Canadian technology companies from the rainforest in Costa Rica, right? Hola, amigos, ¿cómo está? My Nicaraguan abaca cutters are here.
So the thing is to be able to get out of these cities. That's the thing, is it's key. So we're at the bottom of the hour. I don't know if there's a break, so I'm gonna keep going. If I hear a break come in, we'll leave. But so, ladies and gentlemen, have you ever heard of something called Billy Land? And let me get this thing on this Taz. Hold on a second.
Brandy still here?
Uh-huh.
Hey, Brandy.
Hey.
Now, guys, let me just tell you this little off-air story.
We're on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube aside, it's off-air.
Okay.
So, out of the blue, this NGO just came up to the mountain today. I was freaking out at first. I thought, I don't know what was going on, but this Venezuelan woman and this American woman came up, and I think they're sleeping in my back quarters tonight. But they're this NGO that goes to rural places in Latin America, and man, it was just an incredible 2-hour conversation. They want to finance a bunch of stuff up here, post-production for the abaca. So this is all the stuff I was saying out loud, like I want to do weaving and stuff and sell finished products like hammocks and different stuff with the abaca. And I'm just waiting for money to finance this, right? Like my money, it's coming. I'm a partner in a company in Canada now, but out of the blue, this NGO comes. This is like a waking dream, the stuff that happens up on this mountain, Jimmy. This is what I really want to stress to you folks who are listening, okay? This is really that Dickensian moment in A Tale of Two Cities, the opening line. It was the best of times and the worst of times. And it all depends on how you hit this time. It's like breaking a wave as a surfer. You're either going to crack your chin and your head into the coral reef, or you're going to ride that wave and you're going to be exalted. Right? I think that this is my interpretation of the Christian revelation. It's not all doom and gloom. It's how you greet this moment. Right? Because, dude, I mean,
I agree.
Opportunities are falling into my life now like it's 1972. Right? If you could just, in 1972 in Canada and the United States, if you just woke up every day and showed up, you could raise 3 kids and own a single unit home. You could do that being a janitor at an elementary school.
Yeah.
Now, that same job would have you alone in a little 400 square foot bachelor apartment, smelling your fried potatoes all night while you're trying to sleep. Right?
I know. Well, hey, Bruce, Diana is in the chat room, and she was the person I was telling you about from Costa Rica that I was going to try to get you guys hooked up together. So she's hearing what you're saying, and she said, this is totally amazing that I would come in here today for the first time, and she's hearing you talking right now, Bruce. It's fantastic, man. Yeah. Seriously.
I've noticed the amount of synchronicities that happen in my life around me have increased since I wrote that book with Andrew Bartzis.
Yeah. All right, listen, we got to go back. Ready? I got this clip from American Nomads I want to play about these autonomous zones, these temporary autonomous zones. So okay. We'll come back and then get into it. And this is, I don't know how long I can run this for a bit. There's a story in particular I just want to play out of it. All right, so wait a minute. I don't have no music yet. Hold on. I gotta get something. It's killing me, man. Hold on. I think we're all right though, because I don't think the breaks are right on exactly the hour. So hold on. Stand by. Okay, here we go. Ready? Boom.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
My name's Jimmy. It's into the microcosm. It's the last 30 minutes. I'm sitting here with Bruce MacDonald, Wordsmith, author, Off the Grid, maestro, on the mountain, the man on the silver mountain himself, Bruce MacDonald, and Brandy Lou, the lovely, the beautiful, the effervescent. We're all sitting here talking about autonomy, ladies and gentlemen. Is it possible for you to be autonomous? It's taking advantage of some of these Zoom towns in America where they're paying people, Bruce, $10,000 or $15,000 as a bonus for you to show up in their little dead town that has got fiber. They're letting a place where people can roll up and get. And I was saying earlier, how about this, man? Let's say you put 10 people together, you all move to this little knot hole that nobody's really hip on. You all move there, you get your 10 grand each. That's $100,000. Take your 100 grand, buy yourself a beat up hotel, knock out some walls, make some cool flats, put up a dome outside, get some aquaponics going, throw up some geothermal, get yourself some wind, and get yourself off the grid and start learning how to live without fighting for every single minute of your life trying to get a piece of something to eat. put a roof over your head. I mean, these are ways that you got to take this system and turn it on its ass and use it against itself and take it and make something out of something and get yourself something and own it. Right, Bruce? Isn't it this is the last time? Is it people got to get a place to own now before it's too late? Wouldn't you say? Well, it looks like
I would say this. Look outside wherever you're living. Can you hear me?
You're breaking up bad. Tell you what, get that figured out. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know what a temporary autonomous...
What's going on in here?
Do you know what a temporary autonomous zone is?
Yeah, because
What is a temporary autonomous zone? It's a place where there are no laws, ladies and gentlemen.
Come here, Bill.
There are no laws. I think Bruce was having some connection issues there. There's a place called the Slabs. I want to introduce you to it, and there's a particular dude I want to highlight this story here. My name's Jimmy. It's in the microcosm. We're talking about autonomous living, autonomous zones, and your ability to be a sovereign person on the earth. Go wherever the hell you want. Live where you want. Work where you want. Go someplace that makes sense for you. If it's not here, find another place, and that's what we're talking about.
Sun's rising. Came to me and said, Gandalf, do you know there are a bunch of dead people following you around? And I'm like, wait a minute, you can see them? Yeah, cool, that means they're not in my head.
So this temporary autonomous zone called the Slabs, ladies and gentlemen, it's literally Mad Max. There's crazy stuff going on there. There's wildness. They got bands playing at night. They got electricity out there. And literally, it's Mad Max going on out here. And here comes a story I want you guys to hear.
6 hours at the talent show, I head back to my campsite and fall into a conversation with the guy camped next to me. His name is Ted Coons. He's a full-time nomad who dropped out of the mainstream and now roams America and Latin America in his Jeep. Like me, it was mainly curiosity that brought him to Slab City.
Well, like a lot of American kids, when I was in my late teens and early 20s, I had that ambition disease. So I went to work in that corporate game, and I went to New York City and went to work on Wall Street. The truth is, I don't tell people Wall Street anymore. I use the term institutional finance because that doesn't sound nearly as disgusting as Wall Street, to tell you the truth. So I kind of hide behind that phrase, but I spent about 12 years in that business. And unlike many of my colleagues, I knew the end would come someday, so I was banking away the cash, like a caveman hides away as much meat as possible before the winter sets in. I knew the winter would set in sooner or later, so I just, when my friends were buying Porsches, I was taking the subway.
Gotcha.
And managed to save up enough money to buy nice things and be free, and not be dependent on anyone or anything.
So from Wall Street to the Slabs.
The Slabs, yeah, that's quite a path, a lot of zigzagging. You leave Wall Street and it's kind of like leaving a beautiful woman, you kind of think that, you got to get back into that if you can, because that's some pretty good stuff, right? Yeah. But the fact is, I never belonged there in the first place. And I was always sort of a pretender. Secretly, I'm an Idaho redneck.
Yeah.
But I eventually got free of that game, and since then, last 3 years...
Mom's Jimmy. Temporary autonomous zones. Yeah. freedomslips.com. That's right. There ain't but one way out, ladies and gentlemen. And that is for you to become a landowner. Don't think you can? Well, old Jimmy's got your back. Don't you worry.
Might be old man, I don't know. Lord, you got me trapped, woman, upon the second floor. Friday by this time I won't be.
Okay, let me just say, I have no affiliations at all with the website that I'm going to turn you on to tonight. Talked about it once before. I'm going to talk about it again, Brandy. Do you have bad credit? Do you have no credit? Do you have no money in the bank? No down payments? No nothing? You got nothing?
Like car advertisement.
I know. Well, listen, but what I'm saying is actually true. There's a website, ladies and gentlemen. Do you want to get off? You want to get out? Do you want to find your place in the sun or whatever? You want to get yourself a little piece of something? Let's do it. How about we go to a website called Billy Land, and let's take a look at what we can get, Brandy. Now, Billy Land, ladies and gentlemen, is a place where you can find raw land. And you could go there, and all they require is a small payment from you. And you are owning it, Brandy. No, Alex, that's later on tonight. But yeah, so let me remind you, tonight, 10:30 p.m. Pacific, Aftermath.fm. We'll be following Claude Lewis 5 nights a week, 10:30 Pacific till midnight, 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday. So come on down, Alex, and we'll see you then for that, because I see what you're saying there in the chat room. But in the meantime, though, Brandy, Billy Land, can you pull that up, or do you want me to do it? So listen, ladies and gentlemen, you can go there and you can find land, rural land, and take some of these ideas that are easily available to you on the internet, these building ideas, utilizing shipping containers, utilizing pallets. You could put your materials in your shipping container that you're going to need to build whatever it is when you get to where you're getting to, and then have that Connex box dropped on a piece of property. So, Brandy, come on in here, because I can't type and get this Billy Land thing, talking all this at the same time. So why don't you jump in here for a second, talk a little bit about tiny homes, and let me go get this Billy Land thing.
Sure, yeah, tiny homes, that's another way to go. And the thing that you want to understand about tiny homes is, they're definitely not for everybody. And you actually cannot put a tiny home just anywhere. Some countries or some cities won't let you have them, probably countries too. And there are things that can be issues, like you can't always insure them, and you can't really usually get a loan for one. You have to pay cash for it. So if you're handy and you know how to build things, or you know somebody that knows how to build things, then that might be an option for you. So they're really popular around the country. In fact, there's television shows that feature them and talk about how to build them and what to look for. And there's a number of different tiny houses.
Well, there's a video up there that these people put out that gives you a blueprint of how to build a house out of pallets. That you could literally build this house in a day with all your friends. It's pretty simple to do. They pretty much put it together. So here's an example of the land over at Billy Land. So I'm in California.
Say too, on the tiny homes, you actually can go off grid, so you don't even have to be hooked up to.
Well, a tiny home
you can do all that too.
A tiny home on wheels, okay, is a good way to get going on a piece of property. So when you pull up, you got a little tiny home already squared away. You pull up, you live out of your tiny home while you're building your big home, your regular home. Now listen, here's a piece of property over here, Arkansas land. Okay, I don't know where this is. I'm just throwing this. I'm showing you what I'm saying. Okay, listen. You wanna get out? I'm telling you, I'm showing you how to do it right now. If you have absolutely no excuses. After you go to Billy Land, you can own land today, right now. Okay? You just need to find the one for you, the one that you can afford, and get on it and own your land. You know your area. I don't. Here's one. Arkansas land, 3 acres, wooded land, Table Rock Lake. Paved road, power, borders, national forest land. This is perfect. Buy it now. $1,140. $1,140, ladies and gentlemen. And the current bid right now is $885. So you can bid over here. Okay? But let's go to another one, Brandy. We'll go to another one. I'm going to go to one in California and show you a different way. Okay? So look, here you go. Now here's a different one. Now, here's Northern California land. Okay? Here. Northern California land. 1.48 acres. Pines, close to town. Okay? It's not bad. It's okay. I'm just, listen. Your winning bid is the down payment. So the total price of this property is $9,000. If you win it, your payment is $161 a month, Brandy. I'm just saying, there's a piece of land in here for you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know where you're looking. I'm just pulling these out. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. I'm just want to introduce you to this place where you can go get land and go buy it. So let me see if there's a whole, let me just see if there's an explanation, Brandy, of this. Let me see. So let me just say, it says we have cheap land for sale starting as low as $743 an acre. Cheap land in New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, and Alaska. They have land in here. You can find land on here in Arkansas, California, Colorado, Florida, Hawaii, Kentucky, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia. Texas. All right, Brandy, hold on a second. Here's a 1/4 acre Lake Livingston. You know where that is? It's one thing, Lake Livingston. It's got power, water, sewer, and it's in Lake Livingston community. So payment,
I'd have to look.
The payment's $136 a month. Auction ends. Opening bid is $565. So if you put a bid in for...
I might just have to go over there and look, huh?
Well, I'm just saying, if you put a bid in at like $200 and nobody else bids on it, your down payment is $200. Whatever your bid is your down payment. So if you got a couple $100, man, there's land for you here. Like I said, I'm not getting nothing out of this. I'm just turning you guys onto it. So you guys, if you want land and you got an excuse that, I'd like to get some land, but I can't because I don't have credit, or I can't because I don't have any money, or I can't. Well, here, I'm showing that you can. And it's just as simple as that.
Sometimes we keep telling ourselves, I can't, and we talk ourselves out of a lot of things that we really find out later we were able to do it. I'm sure we all have things like that in our life that we used to say we can't, and we did it.
I know.
You have to imagine it. And if that's the goal, just, a lot of these things, you really can make it happen.
Yeah. And I mean, the better you can be for yourself, where you're not going to have to drive around too much, and you can kind of live in an area where you can keep it down to a minimum. Because I'm telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, your freedoms are going to be taken away, not because someone's taking them away from you, but because you won't be able to afford it. You won't be able to afford the stuff that's going to be considered carbon negative or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the thing, gasoline, that's probably going to be expensive. Electricity is going to be expensive. It's going to be big time expensive because they're not going to let you drive a car around for free once you buy a $60,000 car. You thought you were going to be sitting there just driving on electricity for the rest of your life for free? No, they're going to charge you probably just as much as it costs to fill up a gas tank. It's going to cost you that much to jump in your Tesla. So electricity ain't going to be free. And even if you try to plug it in at your house electricity bill is going to go through the roof. And so the thing is, that's where we're going. So the more autonomous you can get now and setting yourself up, getting yourself ready for when the music stops and the reset takes full control of the countries of the world, like they're going to do, then you'll be ready to roll. Maybe you're single. Maybe you can go travel, like Bruce was saying earlier. Head on out and go to one of these nomad cities where they have high-tech workers that are working off-key, off the line. So someplace else, working from home. There's a million ways to go. There's a million ways you can do it, ladies and gentlemen, and I suggest you do it. There's, tomorrow never comes, you're always waiting. People, especially, I've done it myself, is like I wait for the perfect thing. Well, when I have this, that, and the other thing, then I'll do it. If only I could just do this, that, and the other thing, then it would be possible for me to do it. And then there's other times when I don't have everything I need. I throw caution in the wind and I just go for it, and I end up making it anyway. You see, so, you can do it the easy way, you could do it the hard way. You can wait around for someone to tell you, or you can just go ahead and see the writing on the wall. And instead of investing in stocks and bonds and for the future and commodities, because you know the way things are going to go, what you do is you invest in a permaculture situation for yourself, like I said earlier, where those trees are bearing fruit for you in your old age, and you're eating a bowl of fruit from your backyard, and you're not paying a single penny for it. That's the way you got to go, eh, Brandy? Got to do it for yourself.
You got to roll that way and just keep on rolling.
That's right. All right, well, it's getting close to the end, Brandy, and we are almost out of time. Don't forget, we are fully listener supported, ladies and gentlemen. So head on over to Freedom Slibs and take care of some Patreon investing in your potential to hear what you want to hear. It would be a terrible shame someday, Brandy, if people tuned in to try to hear Revolution Radio and it was just dead air. Because no one invested. No one thought. Everyone thought everybody else was going to do it. And then it just didn't get done. And then it's just another tragedy. Don't let it happen, ladies and gentlemen. Come on down. Be a Sparky supporter. And give us a hand. The rent man comes around. He's red-assed. And I don't like the look in his face. And I'm sick of seeing him all crunched up and dried out like a husk. I'd like to see him complete.
He's a scary dude. He holds out this like rescue can.
I think he's attacking.
It's really
He's attacking your internet as we speak. All of a sudden, you're gonna have internet problems. You don't pay up. So, ladies and gentlemen, come on down, become a supporter. Stay tuned. Coming up next on Studio A, the Fenton Perspective, award-winning Fenton Perspective. Mom's Jimmy. It's in the microcosm. We are winding it down, Brandy. Don't forget, tonight is the night, the debut. The show that follows Clyde Lewis on Aftermath.fm. Come on down, 10:30 Pacific. I'm sure there's plenty of great stuff to listen to all around the world, and that may be one thing you may want to stop by and hear tonight. I think I'm going to be doing something I don't think anyone's brought to the table yet. So, and Danny will be there. Epic Journeyman will be there. Rock and Rio will be there. Brandy may even stop in tonight just because we don't know. You never know. That's the thing. It's not just a show, ladies and gentlemen. It's an adventure. It's not just a show, right, Brandy? It's like an adventure, isn't it?
It is definitely an adventure.
I wanna thank you for
Garrett, Dr. Fox Philly, Snowbird, Ann Bentley, Christine, Bridget, Rita, Benton, Quasar, Maribeth, Pink Patriot, Brattleoff, DT, Lena, RZ, Calvin Kitty, Cerebral Awakening, SJ1, Carson, Rio, Don to you, hey Dons, Freeze Frame, Eagle Flower, Dude Guy. Yes. Well, we'll be back here on Revolution Radio, 11 o'clock Pacific, Friday night with the late night gig. And that's always a good time. And want to thank you for joining us. And want to invite you to stick around for the Fenton Perspective, Brandy. And then I guess we're going to have to head out. It's almost time to feed the dogs. What's up, cat dog girl?
Stepping out, open sesame, here comes Rastaman. Abacadabra, catch me if you can. I know you find it hard to believe that I am the genie of your lamp, and I can do anything you wish, but right now I'm commanding you to dance. Stepping out, stepping out. Oh, I'm stepping.
Okay, we're out of there. Hey, Robin, before you leave, I wanted to talk to you because we're thinking about doing Trucker Tuesdays on the Tuesday night late night show, where we talk about how truckers come on, and we have a whole thing, trucker stories, just a whole trucker thing on Tuesday nights. So let me know if you're interested in getting involved with that, because I have a couple people in mind that I think it'd be cool. And since a lot of truckers are, rolling late night style, I'm thinking, it might be perfect. You know what I mean? It might be perfect to do some like late night style for trucker stuff that, dudes are going over the road. They're listening late night style. So people can listen on their phones, on Aftermath. So I just thought, so check it out. I got two guys, Sergeant Miller and Two Feathers. Both of those guys are long haul truckers, and they're cool dudes. So I want to do that. You there, Brandy?
Yep.
Can you come over and say hello to everybody in the chat real quick? Hey, Smurfer Girl. Real quick, because I got to go close this chat over in this other thing here.
So thank you for being here, everybody. Pirouette and Robin, it's so good to see you again. Wanda, Bernays, Zoe, Lewis, Germany Drone, Crystal, was great to have you. And Alex, good to see you. Bella, you were really quiet, Bella. So she needs a new computer. Maybe it's not working right. And I don't know where Mr. Jones went, but Mr. Jones was here. See you later. Bernice, did I say goodbye to you? I think I did. And John Nelson. So thanks for coming, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. And go take a look around. Dream
All right.
a little bit. See
Well,
what
so
you
hey,
can come up with. You might be surprised.
So Robin says she wants to get involved with Trucker Tuesdays.
You'll like it.
So
You'll like
okay,
Robin.
get a hold of her because you guys are connected because she came out and visited you. So get a hold of her, figure out how we can hook up and see if she's got Skype and all this, and try to put it together. Brandy, it's you put it together with Robin for Tuesday nights. It doesn't have to be this Tuesday, but it can be.
Okay.
So either way, just let us know. Hey, thanks, Dirt Engineer. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate everybody being here. So, hey, if you want, we're going to be back at 10:30, so we'll probably start at about 10 to get ready before the show. So if you guys want to come back at 10, that's when it's going to go on. I got to get going right now, though, so I can go feed the dogs.
Yep. And I've got dinner waiting out there. My husband showed up with it, so I need to go eat.
Sweet. Great job, Brandy. Thanks for all the research on the pricing.
You bet.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, interesting. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, good night, everybody. We'll see you after a while. In a few hours. What is it, 5 hours from now? I'll be back.